Hello again, everyone. How are you doing? Hope you're keeping well. We're on a bit of a vintage Games Workshop trip this month. There will be some news. There will be some new news about new miniatures coming very shortly. So if you would like to be advised of the new Oakbound stuff that's happening, do pop over to our Facebook page. You can just search for Oakbound Studio and you'll find it. Look for the Woods Worldwide Players Circle and you'll find woodsy related stuff. Or if you're on Instagram, you can look for Oakbound Studio and again you'll find us. And you can go to our website, which is oakbound.co.uk, and sign up for our newsletter, The Acorn, which will be coming out. It comes out on the first Friday of every month, so it'll be coming out again quite shortly. And it'll have part 3 of the regional campaign structure for the Woods. If you missed parts 1 and 2, don't worry, you can still get part 3, and there'll be links to parts 1 and 2, and that will come free to your inbox. All you have to do is give us your email address and agree to receiving that one very useful, very informative, and hopefully quite fun newsletter every month. So go ahead and do that. In the meantime, let's look at the next volume of the Encyclopaedia Warhammica that we started trawling through a little while ago. This is going to be volume 4A. And it's going to be the first set of army books for 4th edition. It's going to be looking at the chaotic armies for 4th edition, because obviously a chaotic and lawful, chaotic and order split is far more interesting than a good-evil split. So we haven't got good and evil armies, we've got lawful and chaotic armies. And that's how I've decided to split my my army books. So let's take a look at the chaotic ones first. Here we go then. So, previous volumes of the Encyclopaedia Warhammica have been black and white, like this. It's a lovely picture, isn't it? But for the cover, we've gone a bit riotous, hand-coloured artwork here. Apologies for the weirdo shadows. I should probably turn anyway, never mind. Weirdo coloured shadows on the cover here, very chaotic looking, and on the spine not only have we got the regular this is volume 4A chaos, but also got these little sort of pewter bits of Shoggoth trying to make their way through from another dimension, bursting through the spine, suitably chaotic. Within, that's the cover from Weird Sisters, Josh Kirby cover. Chaotic enough? Don't know. And we're starting, of course, with Warhammer Armies Chaos. And here is the Chaos army list. Now, this came as part of a really big box, which had a bunch of card stuff in it as well. The first thing that you might notice, in contrast to the Realm of Chaos stuff, is these discussions of the nature of the Chaos Gods is really quite basic. Khorne is the blood god, the god of battle. Nurgle is the god of decay. Tzeentch is the great sorcerer. Slaanesh is the prince of chaos, god of pleasure. And that's really about as far as it goes. All of the sort of intricate roleplay, character-y stuff that's in the Realms of Chaos books is ditched. So there's no if you're trying to defend your homestead against a clan of marauding orcs and you take up arms to do it, you're serving Khorne inadvertently. If you let them ride all over you, then you're serving Slaanesh unintentionally. It's you're serving Nurgle rather, because Nurgle's the god of acceptance of things as they are. Tzeentch is the god of trying to change things, even if you're trying to change things for good reason. And Slaanesh is not necessarily about pleasures of the flesh. It's about liking comfort and sort of not wanting to put yourself in peril or in danger. It's about sort of staying safe where you are. But a lot of these aspects, I guess, don't really translate very well into tabletop battles. So that's probably why they've simplified it. you've got all of the kind of chaos creatures that you would expect to be in here. There's still a discussion of chaos gifts and magic items and ways in which your characters can gain gifts and change in various ways, but it's not as random, and there's not as much of a mix of stuff anymore. It's all very stuff that would be useful on the tabletop, which I guess is part of the transfer from a roleplay to a tabletop war game environment. Suddenly you've got to have stuff that's useful on the tabletop, otherwise what's really the point in featuring it? We've seen this Chaos Mutations guide previously, specifically this Chaos Dragon. We've seen that in a White Dwarf, so we won't dwell too much on that. There's some background about Chaos Incursions. You can still get turned into a Chaos Spawn, you can still get stuff which is bad, but there's far more useful mutations in here. You still got the distinction between Chaos Warriors, Chaos Sorcerers, Champions of Chaos. You haven't got any Marauders in this one. It's mostly Chaos Warriors and then demonic creatures or creatures of chaos alongside them. Not so much in the way of regular cultists. Again, probably that's a battle thing, that you want armies of armoured knights riding to war rather than armies of cultists. You're probably taking beastmen if you're taking other things, but so yeah, let's have a look when we get onto the regiments points. Yeah, Chaos Knights are 66 points each, Chaos Warriors are 24 points each, so they have got a bit cheaper, but they're still expensive. Beastmen at 10 points are going to be your standard go-to regular mook infantry unit, and then you've got your demons up to like 700 points, 750 points for a great unclean one. I bet a Bloodthirst is more than that, yeah. Yeah, 800 points for a Bloodthirst. A few special characters. And then catalogue pages for the then available Chaos models. Old Chaos champions from Realm of Chaos that were in production for a little while longer. And we've got the White Dwarf Chaos Dwarf section. So this is Chaos Dwarves, the lists and bits and pieces that were available through White Dwarf, because they never got a full army book of their own. Just got a discussion in White Dwarf. I guess they were never really popular enough to have their own army book. But pretty much we've covered all of this in reviews of White Dwarfs. It just collates it all in one place. Battle reports. See, I wasn't wrong in a previous video. There's a lot of purple going on here, purple beards. And here's your bestiary. Here's your army list. And your available Chaos Dwarf models. There we get Dark Elves, so the corrupted elves, chaotic elves, elves that have been lured away from their true path. And a lot of this was covered in White Dwarf as well, and they pulled a lot of bits out from various army books to put into White Dwarfs. But there's some stuff here that wasn't. More purple, of course. Yeah, because they want people to get a taste for it and then go and buy the army books. special characters. Discussion on tactics, sample army list, some cut out and colour in banners, collecting guide, and then the various units that are available, and a reference sheet. And we get undead, also chaotic, right? It's not a natural state to be coming back from the grave, so that's why they're in the Chaos book. His discussion of Nagash and his role in the Warhammer world, and map of mostly the Land of the Dead, but also parts of the Empire, because this is still undead as one unit. Vampire counts are still very much a thing here. Interesting discussion of Muzilon, the City of the Damned. Obviously another city got the name City of the Damned a bit later on in Games Workshop history. Here's that great Mark Gibbons picture of Nagash that unfortunately didn't get a model that lived up to it. It's just, this artwork is so cool. Like, why didn't the Gary Morley sculpture that's got these big horns and this big fairy rings, why didn't it look like this? Why wasn't it in this pose? Why was it in a stupid YMCA pose? I don't know. Anyway, missed opportunities. And this guy, look, this got a sculpt, but it got a sculpt and it looked awful. This guy looks cool. Anyway. Undead. Yeah, see, look. He could be more menacing than that, for sure. Romantic spells. The Revenge of the Doom Lord scenario that got featured and played through in White Dwarf as well. It's quite eclectic, isn't it, the content of these army books? That the Dark Elf one has got a sample army in it. This one's got a scenario in it. The Chaos one doesn't really have very much in it besides just a list and some spells, but this has got some spells as well. The catalogue styles are quite different. It's obviously covered the span of quite a few years and a few different people trying to put them together in slightly different visual ways. A lot more artwork in this than there is in the Chaos book, for sure. I guess maybe they had more stuff to pack into a smaller book for the Chaos supplement. And then catalogue pages. Now this one, this is not an official this is not an official Warhammer Armies book, but this was my attempt. I think it was based on the Orcs and Goblins army list to create something that was an update of the one from White Dwarf 120. But very short. And then we got to Skaven. Another obviously classic chaotic army. More pages that we've already covered them in White Dwarfs. So more similar to the style of the Undead one, I guess this time. It's got more of that sort of the timeline and the artwork in it. Obviously came out a very similar period. I think only a couple of months apart between this and the Undead army book. It's got a map in as well. Lots of tunnels on that map. Coloured magic items though this time. We only got, and spells, we only got black and white ones in the Undead book. So obviously maybe they had fewer colour pages within Features of Skaven, or they had more budget for coloured pages this time round. History in your army list. And you could, if you wanted to, go really into detail and talk about all of the different things that were available at this time, but I feel like really this 4th edition was a setting in stone, and the army list choices, they changed a bit from armies, but then from this point on you've got the names of the units are very much set in stone. Each later edition might introduce something new and special, but doesn't really alter very much the rest of the way through. There's a few Jez Goodwin types here in amongst the later Skaven sculpts. And there we are. We're on, what's that one? Equal Rights. Another lovely Josh Kirby image. There we go. So that is volume 4A. I hope you've enjoyed that very quick flick through. Obviously volume 4B to come. And next month, something else. See you then. Take care.